Let's start this again. Good afternoon. This meeting of the Board Committee on Audit and Compliance is now called to order. Would everyone please take a moment to mute their cell phones? We will take up the following items for approval. Action item 1A is the approval of the minutes of the October 31st, 2022 Committee on Audit and Compliance meeting. I move the approval of action item 1A. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? Okay, it's unanimously passed. Thank you very much. We will now address the policy calendar. Item B1 is a resolution to adopt the fiscal year 2023 internal audit charter. The audit committee charter requires the audit committee to review and approve annually the internal audit charter, which governs the university's internal audit function as discharged by the Office of Internal Audit and Management Service. The internal audit charter establishes the purpose, authority, role, and responsibilities of an internal audit function, making manifest to the university's members the importance of the internal audit function, the standards of professionalism that the internal auditors will observe, and the expectation that the internal auditors will be provided access to all information, records, and personnel necessary to achieve board-approved audit objectives. The university is seeking the audit committee's approval of the fiscal year 2023 internal audit charter as presented by Associate Vice Chancellor for Audit and Compliance, Gordon Taylor. I'd like to turn it over to Associate Vice Chancellor for Audit and Compliance, Chancellor Gordon Taylor. Well, this is weird. Associate Vice Chancellor for Audit and Compliance, Gordon Taylor, to present item B1.
Sounded like a promotion was in there somewhere. Anyway, thank you so much, Chairman Kim.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
So I'm pleased to present the proposed FY 2023 Internal Audit Charter. As Chairman Kim just mentioned, the charter itself is a formal document by which an organization's governing authority makes manifest to the internal and external stakeholders of the organization the importance that that organization places on the internal audit function. The Institute of Internal Auditors, or IIA, the organization that promulgates authoritative guidance for the internal audit practice, considers the internal audit charter vital to the success of an internal audit function. The internal audit charter, as was mentioned, sets forth the purpose, authority, responsibility, and position in the organization of the internal audit function. And I would point out that many of the aspects of the internal audit charter are reflected in the Board of Trustees Audit Committee charter, such as the position of the internal audit activity in the university, its reporting relationship, i.e. functionally to the chancellor and administratively, functionally to the board and administratively to the chancellor, and also the audit committee's responsibilities with respect to its oversight over the internal audit function. The internal audit charter is actually more specific to the internal audit function than the audit committee charter goes into. It is the audit committee's duty to review the internal audit charter on an annual basis to see if any changed circumstances warrant revision to the charter. So just the key elements of the charter. Article 1 is an introduction, which basically states the mission and function of the internal audit function at the university. Internal audit exists to evaluate university operations and programs so that the university may achieve its strategic objectives. Article 2 defines its role. Internal audit is basically an organ of the board, and it exists. Its responsibilities are defined by the board, and its activities are overseen by the Board of Trustees and the Audit Committee. Article 3 on professionalism provides that internal audit function is to be carried out with regard to the New York State internal control standards and to the IIA standards, Institute of Internal Auditor Standards. Article 4 sets forth the authority of the internal audit function and declares that any and all internal audit activities will be accorded unrestricted access to university facilities, records, systems, and personnel necessary to conducting audits. The caveat is that there be strict confidentiality and that records and information be safeguarded. Article 5 describes the position of internal audit within the organization, consistent with the provisions of the Board of Trustees Audit Committee Charter. Reporting lines, as I mentioned before, administratively to the Chancellor and functionally to the Audit Committee. Article 5 also describes, as does the Audit Committee Charter, the role and responsibilities of the Audit Committee with respect to its oversight over the internal audit function. Article 6, independence and objectivity, in essence, establishes that the internal audit function be free of any interference by the organization, and that the auditors conduct their audits with free from conflict or biases with respect to their professional judgment. Article 7 outlines the responsibilities of the internal audit function. Those responsibilities include evaluation of risk exposure relating to the achievement of the university's objectives, evaluating the effectiveness and efficiency of the use of university resources, and evaluating operations and programs to determine that results are consistent with university objectives and goals. Article 8, Internal Audit Plan. This basically sets forth the internal audit function's annual requirement to submit to the Audit Committee for review and approval an annual internal audit work plan. We last presented that at the June 7th meeting this year, and it was approved by the full board on October 27th of this year. The audit plan is developed in consultation with senior management. Article 9 just sets forth the reporting requirements that the results of audits will be shared with the Audit Committee and with other necessary stakeholders timely. Finally, Article 10, Quality Assurance and Improvement Program. The keystone of that program is a quality assurance review or peer review whereby another internal audit function will evaluate the effectiveness of our internal control function as well as its adherence to the standards, and we will do the same for another internal audit function. We're actually working with a group of New York State audit directors on a process that will establish reciprocity in with the quality assurance reviews. That's pretty much the elements of the internal audit charter. Does anyone have any questions?
No questions?
Okay.
Yes, sir, Professor.
I want to thank you for answering the questions that I posed. And I posed questions last year. This is a great improvement over the proposed charter that was considered and then set aside last year. And I posed some questions to the chair, and I got very thorough and thoughtful answers. And I mean, there are little things that I can bring up, but we can hold things off for the future. But really, I just want to thank you and say that I'm going to vote for this with great confidence.
Great.
That's appreciated. Thank you so much.
And that really is a testament to having Associate Vice Chancellor Taylor back in this position and his team's work, so thank you for that. Really want to acknowledge your work on this. So now I move for the approval of policy item B1B1. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed or abstaining? Okay, this, this has been passed unanimously. With no more items on the policy calendar, I will address section 2, information items. Information item 2A, which is the annual statement of computer monitoring. Todd Dranch, Associate General Counsel in the Office of the General Counsel, will present the 2020-2021 Statement of Computer Monitoring.
Just press F5 when you guys.
Associate General Counsel Dranch.
Hi, good evening. Pursuant to Section 13 of the CUNY Computer Use Policy, the Office of General Counsel shall issue an annual statement of instances of account monitoring or inspection without notice that fall within categories D through G of Section 13 of the policy. The statement shall include the number of such instances and the cause and result of each, and no personally identifiable data shall be included in the statement. A copy of the report was included with the agenda, so you should all have a copy of that. And on that statement, there is a description of categories D through G. In total, there were six searches that occurred during the academic year of 2020 and 2021.
Do you have a question, sir?
Yes. Is there should there be a report on 21, 22? It seems to me that there's a time lag here. This is a report that seems to be a year old?
Yes, this report is often given after the academic year. This report was actually prepared in May.
I see.
And so the next one will be forthcoming. Part of the reason for the delay is obviously to preserve the integrity of whatever potentially the underlying investigation that the search is possibly a part of. And that way, by presenting it with a slight lag, you get a more full and complete accounting of the searches that occurred during any academic year.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Mr. Dranch.
Thank you very much.
That was an information item, so it doesn't require votes. Information item 2B is an update on internal audits and investigations, which will be done in executive session. I now move that this meeting convene in executive session pursuant to Article 7, Sections 105C and 105D of the Public Officers Law to discuss matters pertaining to investigations and litigation. May I have a second? Thank you. Okay, the committee will reconvene in public session following this executive session. If everyone